Hey friends, how's it going? Ash here. Welcome back to Gents. I hope you're doing well. Whether you're watching this in the evening, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the middle of the night, in the bathroom. Yeah, I see you. But regardless, I hope you're doing well. Today I have for you 10 different fragrances that will help set you apart from the crowd. More interesting fragrances that still do have wearability in mind. Because just because you're gonna wear something that's gonna set you apart a little bit, you know, it's not just your Sauvage, that don't mean that it's gotta be funky butt, stinky feet dude. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If that's your kink, more power to you. So that's what we got in mind here today, but that's not all. Like, not Billy Mitchell, Billy Mays. Yeah, Billy Mays. That's not all. You me? Since it's the end of the year, you know what that means. Sales, lots of them. The biggest being Cyber Monday and Black Friday. I don't know why I said it in that order. Black Friday comes first and then Cyber Monday, but yeah. But there are other sales going on as well, and I got one for you today. It is at So Avant Garde, which is linked in the description. The code is Ashton30. I would have preferred like Gents 30, but Ashton 30, that's the code. It'll get you 30% off of most everything on So Avant Garde. There are a few brands that aren't included, but for the most part, you can have your run of that website, use that code for 30% off. So it's running through the 13th of this month of November. So if you want anything from So Avant Garde's website, there are a bunch of different brands on there, a bunch of different fragrances. Use Ashton 30 to get yourself 30% off. It would be most especially appealing to brands that typically are not really discounted. You can get that sweet 30% off, which can add up pretty quick. So again, that's linked in the description below. So Avant Garde Ashton 30, that's the code for the next few days. And now with that out of the way, let's get to the fragrances. First off, we have this little beauty right here from State of Mind, and it's called Sense of Humor. I love the presentation of this fragrance. I think it looks awesome. Triangular bottle, has a little face on the bottom there, a magnetic cap, although not super strong. Don't try to pick this up by the cap. Oops, gonna have a busted bottle. You'll be very sad. I'm not sure how to feel about this. On the one hand, I'm like, oh, magnetic cap, fantastic. Then on the other hand, I'm like, it's not very strong, is it? No, it's not. So it's like, that's a W and an L.
K-E-W-L.
But, you know, what are you gonna do? Get a little more oomph, you know, get a little stronger magneto. Super fresh fragrance. Obviously, you can tell by looking at the bottle, very green as well, and makes use of tea. Actually, pretty much all the fragrances from this house make use of different tea notes. This one has Darjeeling tea as its tea of choice. You also have a lot of citrus in there, citron, mandarin orange, you've got black currant in there. So like I said, very fresh off the top, a little bit juicy as well, zingy, green. You have a little mate in there as well. You have a touch of woods as it dries down. Just an amazing spring fragrance, a spring daytime stunner. It's something that I absolutely love. The only problem with this one for me is that I picked it up after spring and I didn't get to wear it at all during the season that I'd really want to wear it. But next year, got it locked and loaded. And to date, this is the only one that I own from the house. There are others that I'm interested in, but this one caught my eye first because green. After that, 8 Bob's Egypt. Now this is a fragrance that I have really enjoyed for a long time. 8 Bob, their big selling point, especially with their original fragrance, 8 Bob Original, is that it's the fragrance that John F. Kennedy wore.
F. Kennedy, remember him?
Because somebody, 8 Bob, went to the Creed School of Advertising for Fragrances, which is to say, I think you're fibbing, 8 Bob. But you know, if you wanted to, you could probably dupe people into thinking that you're wearing what JFK used to wear. And you know, when they type it in and it pops up on 8 Bob's website, like, oh yeah, it totally is, they'll probably believe you. If they dig into it a little bit more, they'll be like, wait a second, this doesn't seem to add up. Then you just say, shh, it's just marketing.
Man, it's marketing!
But this is Egypt, so that doesn't even matter. We're just talking about the original here and poking a little fun at 8 Bob. They do have some killer fragrances though. Nuit de Megève, I love that stuff. Really nice vetiver scent. And Egypt is a fragrance that I also very much adore. It's kind of, like a warm, spicy take on a barbershop kind of fragrance in a way. So you got this kind of like lavender moss mix that gives it very gentlemanly feel to it, you know, classy, sophisticated, but then it has this warm, sexy, spicy edge to it as well. So for fall and winter time, it becomes basically just a really classy, grown-up fragrance that also has, like I said before, kind of a sexy edge to it. Good daytime fragrance, good evening fragrance, good office fragrance, just a lot to love about it. And it's also not all that expensive either. So Egypt, I think, is one of those fragrances that, you know, sometimes is a little overlooked. I just became like a reptilian there for a second. Overlooked. Take me to your leader. That was creepy.
Take me to your leader.
After that, Acro's Awake. This one smells like coffee. So if you like coffee, you'll probably like the smell of this. Now, this is Olivier Cresp's brand. He's the perfumer owner, along with his daughter on this brand. They do have a lot of other fragrances that are also extremely good. This is just the first one that kind of got me to take notice, I guess you could say. With each fragrance being based off of a different vice, essentially. So you've got one called Ink, which is based off of tattoos, tattoo shops. So a lot of different ideas on the fragrances here. Like I said, this one, coffee. Ah, yes, freaking awesome. Coffee and cardamom and vetiver in there as well. Off the first blast, it really does smell like a smooth, not harsh, not bitter coffee. You know, it's not got that kind of like roasted edge to it. This one has that bit of sweetness in there. My wife is a coffee fanatic, especially in the morning. So she's really drawn to this one, and I also love the smell of it, like I've said a few times. Mancera! Up next, Tonka Cola. And I don't know if I said this, but all of these you can find at So Avant-Garde, all these brands. So, Tonka Cola from Mancera. They are telling you right there on the front what it is. It's Tonka, it's cola, and also cherry, but then that would be, you know, Tonka Cherry Cola. That's too many words, so just Tonka Cola. Oof, pressurized atomizer and a magnetic cap. You're talking to me, brother, you're talking to me. Pulling at my heartstrings. Let's test the magnetic cap, see if it's stronger. Oh, that passes. I'm sorry, buddy, but, oh, you gotta hit the gym, brother. I was just like, mixing it like it's a cocktail. So this is in typical Mancera fashion, very strong, great performance, lasts a long time, projects heavily. Definitely more a fall and winter time fragrance because it does have, again, that performance, and then it is quite sweet. I love this though. I think it smells awesome. It's one of my favorite Mancera fragrances that have come out over the past few years because sometimes, and I've talked about this before, but sometimes with Mancera fragrances and Montal fragrances as well, they can start to run together. You know, those oudi boys, oud, rose, saffron. When you've smelled 250 of those, at some point, it all just blurs together. So something like this being different and kind of doing its own thing, it makes me notice it more. So Tonka Cola, fantastic little scent for fall and winter time. And it's playful, you know? It's got that really nice sweetness, that bubbly feel from the cola. And also, if I'm honest, I like a Coca-Cola, man. So I like it. After that, the House of Oud. Now this is a 2-for-1 just because I want to show off these bottles. They're pretty. Can't decide if they look like dinosaur eggs that have been painted up or stones that have been painted up, but certainly something.
Holy a dinosaur egg.
So we'll start with this one. This is called Emerald Green, and it has been compared to Aventus mixed with Baccarat Rouge 540. But when you really wear that one, it doesn't smell like Aventus, and it doesn't smell like Baccarat Rouge 540. Maybe if you said, well, you're right, that's because it smells like both of them combined. You could maybe get away with that, but if you spray it on side by side with Aventus, nobody's gonna get confused and be like, which is which? Oh, it's gonna be extremely obvious. Oh, this is Emerald Green, this is Aventus. Does have a lot of citrus off the top, specifically lemon, good amount of lemon. Now, if you smell this one in the first like 30 seconds, that lemon does not smell the most pleasant in the world. It's got that kind of like, you know, really sharp lemony feel to it, but legitimately within 30 seconds, it kind of loses that edge and then smells much more pleasant. Technically, I believe these citrus notes off the top are blood orange, bergamot, tangerine, and it much more smells like that after the first 30 seconds. So like I said, if you get this for whatever reason or sample it or anything and you spray this on, don't do that and then immediately go in for a whiff, let that bad boy settle for just a couple seconds. Overall, it's actually a really big people pleaser. It's a compliment puller, has good performance, but you may go nose blind with this one, which again, you know, is something that happens with BR540 and Aventus. Not that I'm saying it smells exactly like either of those, but it does share that with them, not it. Ah, this one though, this one, this is really good. This is Dates Delight. Dates Delight. Yes, I do believe I'll have a spray of that. Thank you. This one is another fall and wintertime stunner. Sweet, absolutely, but a big compliment puller, attention grabber. Quality is there. It just has this almost like glazed edge to it. You know, like sugar that's been crystallized, caramelized. And with the name being Dates Delight, you can probably guess the main note or one of the main notes there. It is dates. Really, 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 really good. One of the best from the house, absolutely. We must keep it moving, and so we move on to, Imaginary Authors, Cape Heartache. This is one of my all-time favorite indie fragrances. I love everything about it. I love how, even though this is just a stock bottle, and this is an old school bottle, but it looks like a little book. I dig that. I like the whole aesthetic from the brand, actually. I like the whole everything, where each fragrance is based off a story that's not a real story by an author who's not a real author, it's an imaginary author. You get it? I do like these old bottles more, these like 60 mils. You got a little more, you know, instead of the 50 mils that you get nowadays. You got a little extra juice. So Cape Heartache, this one is very much a woody fragrance. Douglas fir, pine resin, western hemlock, the first three notes that you can see on the back of the bottle. But then it has notes of strawberry, old growth, and mountain fog, which that's another thing that Imaginary Authors does. They put in notes that are imaginary notes, essentially. But you do get that feeling from this, an old forest that has, you know, maybe like a little bit of a dampness to the floor, the earthen floor there. Touch of sweetness coming from the strawberry still maintains a good wearability, even though that may sound like off-putting or scary. It's actually comforting in a way. It just smells awesome. And for me, Imaginary Authors, the top two are this one, Cape Heartache, and Memoirs of a Trespasser. Those I still love so much. Next up, we got Red Colorado from M. Michelob. This fragrance is very pine-forward, green, woody, has kind of a leather backing that you can smell initially underneath all of those woods, but off the top, it is very much a pine-forward kind of smelling scent. It's got cypress, pine, and then fir, and gaiac wood in there. So yeah, just a lot of woods here. It does have a little creaminess to it, like a touch of sweetness. And then as it dries down, that kind of green edge that the wood has fades off and it gets a little bit smoky smelling, not a ton, but a little bit as it dries down. And that's kind of mixing together with the leather. Now this one's been compared to the smell of Interlude Man by Amouage, but side by side, they are quite different, especially off the top. Off the top, I don't think anybody would really confuse the two because again, this one very much like green pine forest with leather underneath, quite masculine smelling, not very smoky or anything off the top. It doesn't have that potentially kind of harsh oregano opening that Interlude has. So off the top, I think they're really different. But as it dries down and that pine and everything kind of steps back, it gets a little bit closer to how Interlude smells. Still not like where I think you would really confuse the two, but it becomes one of those things in the dry down where you could say, well, if you like how Interlude smells in the dry down, you'll probably like how this smells in the dry down because they start to get a little closer. Then we got Nishane's Ani X. Yes, part of the new X fragrances. Well, I guess I could still call them new, right? They've not been out that long. This one is fantastic. If you enjoy the original Ani, you gotta check this out. This is just, it's good. The citrus off the top is creamy, it's sweet, it's rich. It mixes together with the vanilla perfectly right away. It's gourmandy, it has this like almost cake-like feel to it at times. You have ginger off the top mixing with that citrus that gives it this additional life, you know, this little bit of zing. Sandalwood in there as it dries down as well, mixing with that vanilla. This is top-notch stuff, just really fantastic. And then you've got the good performance. It's an extrait de parfum. I mean, this is great. Follow that one up with Misensur's Cologne du Mate. This is Alberto Maris's line. I'm sure you have heard of him at one point or another. So this fragrance right here, this is gonna be another spring, summer, daytime kind of fragrance. Another one that has a nice classiness to it, but then it has a really wonderful green, sweet citrus with like just a hint of bitter, not really earthiness, clean earthiness, like no dirt in there, kind of minerality, like a little bitter minerality to it. Yeah, easily you could wear this to the office, you could wear this formally, but it makes just such an elevated casual fragrance. Love the smell of this, so wearable, but stands out from your typical fresh designers while still maintaining the same level of wearability as those. Last but not least, remarkable people. You're remarkable, you're remarkable. It's almost like Keanu Reeves, you're beautiful.
You're breathtaking.
This brand, in general, really affordable, even at full retail. I think it's a good bang for your buck. So what this is probably most well known for is having a note of champagne off the top. So it's champagne mixed with grapefruit and cardamom. Then as it dries down, got some sandalwood that comes out, you know, nice little creamy woodiness, touch of sweetness. It's fully unisex. I think ladies can pull this off just as easily as men. It's another one that has a really nice compliment factor to it. And your average person, again, is not gonna know about this at all. It's one of those types of scents that doesn't cost too much, but gives you something that is just a little bit different, a little bit higher end than your typical designer that people are wearing. So there we go. Here are some fragrances that I think are all fantastic for different seasons and different reasons. And all of them are on So Avant Garde. Again, Ashton 30 is the code for 30% off. If you're watching this in the future, sorry, but these are still good fragrances. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there. I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys later.